Hey there, it's David Duford. Thank you for watching. In today's video, I'm going to cover coronavirus and the possibility of making a switch or covering what your options are if you decide to sell final expense and do it in a telesales over the phone environment. So I'm going to start by describing the carriers very briefly that allow some kind of telesales component. I'll give you my opinion on their underwriting, why I would or why I wouldn't write with them. And then I'm going to conclude with my thoughts on the whole telesales thing right now in the midst of what's going on with coronavirus, and why I think right now, as of March 14th, you probably shouldn't jump all the way in. Of course, that may change, but I'll expand on that in a minute. So let's jump in and start talking about what options you have for your final expense carriers for telesales. Okay, so this first page is like the best resource guide on the face of the planet for final expense carriers of face-to-face or over the phone. My link to my website to this page is down here in the description box. Please visit that when you can. I just want to throw this out there, bookmark it. It's got tons of information on final expense carriers, the pros and cons, underwriting, sample applications for a lot, sample agent guides, rates too. So if you're curious about final expense carriers and want to figure out which ones are best, this is going to be one of your best resources. So this is where you're going to see as I go over and discuss what your options are. So check this out, follow along, and definitely use it going forward. And as I start here, one thing I'll add, there's no particular order here. I will say that I prefer the vast majority of my final expense agents that do telesales or want to do telesales to stick to telephonic applications over an e-app type of process. The reason why is a lot of us who are going to do telesales have a particular type of client that are not going to be inclined to take a bunch of steps online. They're not comfortable 100% with computers like, people my age are. So I would say if you have a choice, use the carriers that are more telephonic in nature. And to start here, Prosperity Life Group's New Vista product has a 100% telephonic application for telesales. You simply call in, do the interview, and get the instant decision. I like Prosperity because they cover a lot of conditions such as 3-year look back on cancer, 2-year look back on heart issues. They take AFib, atrial fibrillation as level, insulin at any age is level, and anybody that smokes anything other than a cigarette, including taking hits out of their bong. Oh, I'm such a dumbass. That's kind of nice. It's going to come in handy. And their level graded and modified plans all pay full commission. There's no reductions or haircuts. So we use them face-to-face, at least as a primary carrier in my agency. So, and they're just very agent-friendly. They're excellent to use. You want to learn more about them, go to that page I mentioned earlier and click on the link to learn more. For select companies or select agencies, you do have the ability to do Royal Neighbors of America telephonically over the phone. This is not available for all agencies. If you're interested to see which ones do offer this, please reach out to me. I'll give you some sources. But with Royal Neighbors, it's an excellent product. They take insulin after 30 is level. Diabetic neuropathy is level. They have a 2-year look back on both cancer and heart issues and are very flexible with height weight. They don't have a height weight chart. So a lot of people like writing Royal Neighbors. A little expensive in the 65 and under range, really the 60 and under range relative to other carriers, but overall a pretty good carrier. The one thing to watch out for with Royal Neighbors is their commission haircuts at above 75 years old. It's pretty significant. I think it's either 30 or 40 points below what your regular level or simplified issue whole life commission pays. So check them out if you're interested in picking up Royal Neighbors on my website. Now, let me preface this before I start talking about Transamerica. I have no real order of which of these carriers do best. You're going to see some I say, yeah, this is great, pick this up. Others I'm going to caution you. Transamerica is one that I'll definitely caution you. And the only reason why is because while they'll allow you to sell an application over the phone, they don't have a telephonic application. It's an e-app. So you've got to send the e-app to your client. They've got to fumble around with getting signatures done and clicking submit and all this stuff. And those extra steps, to me, in my opinion, cause a higher not taken rate or incomplete application rate. Some people just get flat out frustrated. So I wouldn't reach for Transamerica first as a telephonic application solution just because of that reason. Here's a company I really like for telesales. It's Liberty Bankers Life. They're in a lot of states. They're very competitively priced. and they take a heck of a lot of conditions, both for standard, which is a higher price first day full coverage, and a preferred rate, which is a preferred or lower rate first day coverage plan. So what are their kind of underwriting advantages? First of all, they take bipolar, schizophrenia, depression as level preferred. They also take non-dialysis kidney problems as standard, neurological problems like lupus and Parkinson's as standard rates. They'll take insulin before or after age 25 as long as there's no diabetic neuropathy, and they will also take COPD as first day full standard rate coverage. So, and the rates are really good too, and the telephonic process is an entirely telephonic application process. So you get an instant decision at the end of the call. It's a well-balanced overall company that's not just good for the niches, but also for your most healthy people, as they've got a 2-year look back on cancer and a 2-year look back on heart issues. So go to my website, check them out if you're interested to learn more. United Home Life has been around for a while, ever since I really got into business. The application hasn't changed too dramatically. And while they do offer some sort of telephonic application process, you do have to also complete an e-app. So you complete the e-app, you get the client to sign it, then you call in a third-party interviewer to come up with a tentative decision. It's a tentative one, it's not a firm one. So I'm not hot on using United Home Life as a first source. They do have a really competitively priced return of premium product for some of your less healthy clients. But beyond that, it's not a first thing I'd reach for. I think there's other carriers that are going to be more useful and easier to use in most circumstances. So now we're going to talk about a few guaranteed issue carriers I'm going to go over real quick with you. So the first one here is AIG. The second one is Gerber Life. And then the third one is Great Western. All of these offer some sort of electronic application process to get your clients to complete and fill out. I think there are some organizations with Gerber and possibly American General AIG that have a telephonic application process, but the vast majority of us are going to only have access to their e-app capability. So this may be problematic if you run into somebody who is not computer literate and they're only qualified for a guaranteed issue type of program. You may want to consider circling around and looking at United Home Life, or even better, I think maybe a Prosperity Life modified situation if they can qualify with that particular product. But both of these, out of these three, I really like guaranteed issue with American General and Great Western guaranteed issue. Those are my first choices. AIG's well priced. It advances commission, starts at 50, goes to age 85 as far as eligibility ages. And Great Western complements the things that AIG doesn't do. They start earlier at 40, and their minimum and maximum face amounts are less and more than American General. So if you need a smaller policy, Great Western will do it. If you need a larger policy than what AIG has, Great Western goes up to $40,000. So it's very useful to have both. I think it's a good idea to carry both. And if you got a client that can complete an e-app process, you'll be just fine. So here's Mutual of Omaha. All of us have heard of Mutual of Omaha. So they don't have a telephonic application process. Everything that Mutual of Omaha does is through an e-app process. So again, great company, great brand name, but it's something you just got to be a little cautious of. Again, I believe a telephonic application is superior when selling final expense over the phone. But Mutual of Omaha's got the brand name appeal for sure. They've got a 3-year look back on cancer, 2-year look back on heart issues. If you started diabetes before 50, you're okay for level. I think an insulin's included there. And some of the rates are pretty good. They've got pretty competitive rates. And I think for the right client that's computer literate, it's a good choice. So American Memorial does minimal telesales. It's a completely telephonic application process, but I believe their face amount, yeah, it's $15,000 limited for the amount that you can do over the phone. American Memorial takes level coverage after age 45 for insulin, and I believe they've got a 2-year look back in most other conditions. There's nothing super compelling about this company's underwriting compared to others, and its rates tend to skew a little bit higher. So this isn't something I'm jumping out of, my seat to reach for. I don't know if you guys know, but Americo actually does and offers a telephonic application on a very limited basis of their Eagle Premier product. It's better, I think, to do Americo Eagle's e-app process if you can. But they do have the telephonic process that you should be able to sell over the phone. It shouldn't be an issue with them. But it's only available like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Kind of weird what they do. but they do give an instant decision telephonically if you decide to call in. So that's one other option you got. And last but not least is Security or Sentinel Security Life. They do a complete telephonic application. Some agents really like this company, but they're pretty tight on a lot of underwriting issues, 5-year lookbacks for their preferred rates. But check them out on my page if you think that might be something of interest to you. Oh yeah, by the way, they do take oxygen use as a true graded plan, not a 2-year wait, but 30% coverage, 70% coverage, 100% coverage. And I can explain that more if you're interested. Just leave a comment below. But that's kind of a cool little niche. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the final expense telesales carriers that are available. There's some that I didn't mention just because they may be more of a call center type solution and not really readily available to agents like you who are going to be working from home, maybe worried about the coronavirus. Let me speak on that for just a moment. Again, everything that I'm doing on my coronavirus video series is all tentative. It's all fluid. So I'm not standing up here and putting a stake in the ground and saying this is the way it's got to be. And if you don't listen, you're dumb. Look, it's all changing rapidly, okay? It can change overnight. So please understand that if you're looking at this back and 5 years from now and you're thinking, well, Dave was dumb. Why did he do that? Well, that's why I'm saying what I'm doing. So with all that said, I do want to appeal to you guys who are doing face-to-face not to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. I don't think we are going to see a reduction to a serious extent of face-to-face sales unless things just get out of hand and it becomes an epidemic and a lot of people die. But I'm looking at stats in China, for example. I think it's Wuhan province or city. The amount of new cases have dropped precipitously because they've gotten it under control. So I want to say it's been a couple of months since it really started, and it's already peaked. So I think if we look at that model as to what's going on here in the States, I don't think that we're going to see some large-scale, long-term shutdown of a normal, healthy economy. We're going to see some changes. I'm going to talk about that on a future video, of course, and how that may impact us if we're out there trying to build an agency in a positive way. But when it comes to telesales, I think this is going to be just temporary. I think the big things to stay away from are group selling opportunities. I talked about that in my last video. Annuity sales, Medicare sales, even selling final expense in a group seminar. You're going to see any kind of group gatherings reduce precipitously. In fact, I just got back from jiu-jitsu today, and usually there's probably 50 people in class. There wasn't even 25, okay? And last Saturday before that was nice and full. So that's the effect that things have psychologically. So you don't want to go that direction. But I've talked to all my agents, keep in touch with all my agents, especially ones doing a lot of business, a lot of appointments. And every one of them is saying they are getting good volumes of appointments. They're still writing as much business, if not more, because of the fear that now predominates everybody's psyche. And the face-to-face business is going perfectly. There's not been any major changes. But with all that said, we can't rest on our laurels. We have to have a plan B. We have to prepare, and we can't be afraid to reinvent ourselves and possibly reposition ourselves. So why would you want to consider telesales, considering the coronavirus, if you're watching this into the future and things have changed? If things have changed and there is just a stoked level of fear in interaction with people, yeah, you may want to switch to a telesales model. If you are out there going and seeing prospects and you're getting a lot of shutdown and they're saying the same things to you over and over, coronavirus, coronavirus, coronavirus. Again, I haven't heard that from anybody yet, but if you experience that to a large extent that it dramatically affects what's going on, you may want to consider looking at doing telesales. But until that point, unless you are just naturally inclined to telesales, if you're brand new to this business, but you've had lots of telesales experience and you're just getting started, if you're in the midst of doing face-to-face, I implore you, keep doing it. I don't think we're to the point, and I don't think we'll get to the point where face-to-face sales shuts down entirely. So just kind of know what your options are, and then, parry the punch, dodge the punch when the threat comes. But just be prepared of what to expect. So I hope you got some information, useful information at least from this video on doing telesales and final expense. Again, if you want to look at those carriers that I threw on the screen here earlier, if you go below and click the link, it'll take you to the kind of like the master page, and then you'll see all 19 carriers that I reviewed, including the ones that we talked about regarding telesales. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them below. I'm here to help you anytime, anywhere. Thanks again so much for watching. I really appreciate it extremely much. All right, guys. See you next time.